morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. I now call the regular meeting of the Wetaskiwin Regional Public School Board to order at 11 a.m. We'll begin with Treaty 6 land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we're on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting ground, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and Anishinaabe. We acknowledge all the many Indigenous nations, Métis and Inuit, whose footsteps have marked these lands for time immemorial. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. Okay, first item is consideration of the agenda. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion that the agenda for the March 4th, 2026 regular board meeting be approved as presented? Thank you, Trustee Johnson. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Trustee Morton. All in favor? Okay, motion is carried. Next up is approval of the minutes from February 18th, 2026 regular board meeting. Are there any errors, omissions, or corrections to the minutes? Okay, seeing none, may I have a motion that the minutes of the February 18th, 2026 regular board meeting be approved as presented? Thank you, Trustee Wright. Seconder? Right, thank you, Trustee Eichert. All in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on, we will talk about board representative reports. Just gonna have to look here. So Trustee Morton, do you have a report for ASPA?
A little bit.
Okay.
So we have a lot of highlights and they throw a lot of information, but I feel like this was the first Zone 4 meeting that I've been to that we have really got into a lot of conversation. And so a lot of advocacy points. We kind of went over the complexity team's funding, which is to last this year and next year. We need to start fighting now for this to be funding that keeps going. There was a big discussion about before and after school care, and there is awesome links to different grants and stuff in the report. But the discussion was that there is a lot of support for the high demand areas, less for the really small rural areas. So another point of advocacy. We had a big discussion about school safety and how schools have been asked to review their safety drills, which I think everybody has done and nobody can say otherwise. Our schools are safe. But they're wondering if this money should be better spent towards the mental health services and the trauma care. We talked also about bringing cross ministries, which we've had the discussion before, into it, getting more families into the school with health walks and libraries and that sort of thing. They brought up a legacy award to honor Terry Gunderson and would like feedback for that. I learned a bit about the Cree immersion programs, and the CSBA board participated in site visits and had nothing but good things to say about this, and it's an area that I want to learn more about. It sounded really good. And then we were asked to advertise the Learn ASPA website. There's really good classes and information, and they want everybody to use it because the more you use it, the more they'll make. And the Lunch and Learn, which is on the 9th, is board meeting boosters with Todd Brandt. It sounds really interesting.
Okay. Thank you very much, Trustee Morton. Moving on to Edwin Parr Local Committee Trustee Potts, do you have a report?
Yeah, we just have the briefing note here. Should I just read the briefing note? Okay, so on behalf of the Wetaskiwin Regional Public School Board of Trustees, we are pleased to recognize Ethan Wood of Wetaskiwin Composite High as the division's 2025 Edwin Parr Award nominee. The Edwin Parr Award honors exceptional first-year teachers who demonstrate outstanding promise, dedication, and impact at the beginning of their careers. Ethan has shown a strong commitment to student learning, meaningful relationship building, and active involvement in school life. We are proud to put his name forward and wish him every success in the next stage of the selection process. So he will go on to, which?
Zone 4.
Zone 4, great. The Board of Trustees would also like to sincerely acknowledge our other outstanding nominees, which were Kara Hayes from Winfield School, Cassidy Young from Griffith Scott School, Tristan Kramer from Buck Mountain Central School. Each of these educators exemplifies professionalism, enthusiasm, and a deep commitment to student success. Their dedication to creating welcoming, engaging learning environments reflects the strength of teaching across our division. All 4 nominees will be invited to attend our board recognition night on May 7th at the Montgomery Glen Golf and Country Club, where we will celebrate their achievements and contributions to WRPS. So thank you to all the 4 nominees for the passion, care, and excellence you bring to our classrooms and school communities each day. Your work is valued and makes a lasting difference for our students across WRPS. Thank you.
Right, thanks. Okay, so any comments, any other comments on that? Moving on to included in the agenda is a copy, a link actually of the Advocate from Public School Board Association of Alberta. It's always got great stuff in there. I would recommend everybody taking a look at it. Moving on to board chair report. In my board chair report today, I'd like to briefly note several pieces of correspondence that were forwarded to us from other school divisions. As they do connect to rural realities, many of them do, that a lot of boards, including ours, are navigating. We received a letter from Buffalo Trail Public Schools regarding the ongoing review of, now I don't know if it's a silent E, but I will say it's not, Del Norte Innisfree School, highlighting how fixed costs in very small rural schools don't shrink at the same pace as enrollment, and asking that the rural small schools grant threshold be re-examined so truly rural schools have more stable and predictable support. We also received a Zone 4 advocacy letter from Clearview Public Schools inviting boards to work together on a shared advocacy priority focused on small rural school funding, including aligning messaging and potentially meeting with MLAs and the minister. In addition, Wolf Creek Public Schools shared 2 letters, one requesting a review of the non-authorized homeschooling declaration option, which I'm including for information given the broader policy considerations involved, and another raising the issue of summer school funding, noting that current pre-credit model does not always fund course upgrades or retakes, and that this can affect program sustainability and student pathways. Finally, we were copied on a letter to the Del Norte Innisfree community that reinforces an important governance principle. Decisions about school operations ultimately rest with locally elected trustees. Collectively, these items reflect themes that fit our own context in Wetaskiwin, including smaller enrollment, rural country schools across a larger geography, increasing student needs, and aging infrastructure. They also help inform the advocacy work we continue to advance through Zone 4 and our provincial partners, including recent Zone 4 chair and vice chair meeting, where it was valuable to have many Zone 4 superintendents at the table and where our main discussion focused on advocacy and selecting a shared priority to raise through a coordinated approach with MLAs and minister. I also wanted to note recent news related to Jordan's Principle. The federal government has announced $1.55 billion committed through March 31st, 2027. This is welcome, given uncertainty many communities and school divisions have experienced. For us at Wetaskiwin, it is particularly encouraging in light of recent reductions connected to Jordan's Principle. Our budget documents reflect both the uncertainty and a declined budget, federal government and First Nations revenue from 5.69 to 4.52 million. Jordan's Principle has supported students with significant needs, including one-on-one educational assistant supports. So this renewed funding is a positive step toward greater stability for students, families, and schools. At the same time, we will continue to monitor implementation issues that have been raised publicly, including delays, eligibility changes, and service backlogs. That concludes my report, and I will now turn it over to Superintendent Wake for his superintendent's report.
Thank you, Chair Dorchester. So a couple of good news items. Last week was just a great day, and I hope it carries over to every day of the year. And basically the message with the Pink Shirt Day is be kind. And so it was just great to see in schools and division offices, everyone actually visually wearing the color pink, just to remind people that it's important to be kind. And we have a lot of gifts and a lot of amazing children in our schools and our communities and our staff as well. And so it's always a good reminder. And, you know, from my end, I just want it to be every day. And I think it's always important to remind each other to be kind and that there's always good things that are occurring in our world. So just really appreciate it. I attached some pictures. You see that on that. So it's just a great reminder about creating safe and welcoming environments. And I think it's important. Another good news item, just a big thank you to all the organizers of the Pigeon Lake Poker Rally. I had the opportunity to go out and volunteer on what started off as a warm day, got a bit cooler. And I know trustees were out there as well, putting in volunteering their time as well. And it was just so heartwarming to see the community, the business community, the local community, the volunteers come together for a great cause. And what's the great cause? Dollars towards students and providing opportunities. And so when you see adults coming together to raise money to provide opportunities to students at WRPS, I can't say thanks enough for that. So it was just a fantastic day. And I got to meet a lot of amazing people. I think I got blamed for a few bad hands, but hey, I'm not a professional dealer, but I tried my best. So it was a great overall day, and a big thank you to the Board of Trustees for also volunteering on that day too as well. It was great. I have a few items for information. We have our Indigenous Education newsletter. So this comes from our central office and it goes out to all our staff and so forth. And it's just a great, once again, just another example of how we continue down our journey towards truth and reconciliation. And part of that truth and reconciliation journey is the education part, and also making sure that we see connections with the land that we're in and the gift and knowledge that we have. So just for information there. Also, we have a official languages, education programs update attached for information. The other piece for information that's also been shared out with our principals as well is the PCAP assessment program. So we will have a school identified. I don't have that data for me yet, which school will be participating in the PCAP, right? It's a grade specific. You know, it's something that they use to sort of get a sense of how we're doing as a nation and as a province as far as when it comes to learning and so forth. I also have attached for information is the Fine Arts newsletter. So this Fine Arts newsletter is what goes out to our staff. I think you as trustees, it's always good for you to see how the arts is alive and well, and that there is a passion for the arts. And when we're talking about actually visual arts, singing, dancing, musical theaters, all those great things. So it's just, it's a great piece of information to our staff to show that we are about the arts. And the arts is very important. And if I've said this before, music does make you smarter. So, and one thing when you know with the arts, no different than athletics, it promotes risk-taking. It promotes teamwork, and it promotes a place of welcoming. So I think it's just great there. I do have several items for action, and the first item for action, Chair Dorchester, is acquiring locally developed courses. And so for the Board of Trustees and for those watching, you know, these courses do contribute to high school students achieving their diploma and giving them the flexibility and giving opportunities for students to go beyond the core courses of the high school delivery. And so I am looking for a motion regarding that, a board motion be made that the following local developed courses be acquired for the use in the division. And you can see the list of courses listed there, including Pathways to Reconciliation, Métis History Stories, Indigenous Art and Ceremony, Creative Writing and Publishing, and so forth. So looking for that motion.
Okay, thank you, trustee Ware. Seconder. Thank you, trustee Morton. Any comments? All right. Seeing none. All in favor? Motion is carried.
Next item for action is actually the reacquiring of local developed courses. So the following courses that you see in your package and on the screen were previously approved by the board. WRPS use of these courses will expire in August of 2026. So Alberta Education requires a board motion to extend the use of these courses within our division for another 4 years. In approval of this motion, this will be allowed to be implemented in our registration process where students can have a plethora of courses to choose from. As you can see on the list, there's different varying again, but this is the reacquiring. So I'm looking for a motion that the locally developed courses listed below be reacquired for use in our division.
Okay, thank you, trustee Heikert. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, trustee Lethbridge. Any comments? Trustee Ware.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, so these are locally developed courses from other school divisions and other places. It's a formality. It doesn't cost us a thing. We share our courses with everyone as well. So these are just to have and possibly implement, but it's just a formality.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? Motion is carried.
Thank you. Next item for action is the full day kindergarten survey. So our survey closed last Wednesday. Just a big thank you to all the community members, families, parents that engaged us in the survey. It was actually, I feel the feedback we got was over 100 surveys that were provided, completed. Now is the time for us to look at the data to see where the interest is. Is there an interest in one particular community? Is there a real appetite for full day kindergarten, meaning Monday to Friday? You also are going to be asking questions as what cost will that be? At the same time, knowing that when we did put out this expression of interest survey, as the superintendent, I did mention that for us to really consider moving forward with this as a recommendation to you as a board, that I would be looking from anywhere to 20 to 25 confirmed interests, people interested in this program. We have followed up with the people via phone that did indicate that they're very likely interested, and just making sure that we verified their address and so forth. So Chair Dorchester, what I am looking for is that the full day kindergarten report be referred to the Facility and Finance Committee for further discussion.
Great. Do I have anyone willing to make the motion? Thank you, trustee Johnson. Seconder. Thank you, trustee Potts. Motion on the floor is that full day kindergarten be referred to Facility and Finance Committee for further discussion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Thank you, Chair. And we will make it very clear, and we'll be thanking people for their participation in the survey, and to anticipate possibly a decision later in the spring when we get the financial funding manual from the province, so we can make an informed decision. So we'll make sure we put that correspondence. Speaking of that funding manual, just looking for motion. So budget 2026, the provincial budget was announced. As far as the impact to school divisions, we're aware of an increase in our basic funding amount. You know, that's to offset the cost of a potential increase in teacher salaries and so forth. What we also heard in our budget announcement, Chair Dorchester, was potentially the removal of IMR dollars, reallocating those dollars. We also heard that system administration will be reduced, but the understanding was that the one key piece around this was that in this budget announcement, any increase in the basic funding amount was intended to be in schools, put into the classrooms. And so you as a board have demonstrated that in previous years of how you've gone above and beyond the basic funding amount. And in fact, redirected administrative cap dollars back into the classroom as well. So, but as we are in our budget process, just starting right now, this is the first piece of the puzzle to make sure we have some significant discussion and debate about how we are going to finance the WRPS over the next calendar year. I'm looking at the budget 2026 be referred to the Facility and Finance Committee for further discussion.
Is there anyone prepared to make the motion? Oh, do you have a comment? Or?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion and speak to it. I think that,
Let's can we get a seconder first?
oh, sorry.
Trustee Johnson moved and Trustee Ware seconder.
I think that because the budget is one of the major components of the work that we do, this year is going to be particularly informative as to how we go about financing the work that is being done. And the fact that they are reducing administration costs is somewhat problematic for me, because I think that our administration has whittled its way down and changed, the job titles and duties as much as possible with the money that we already work with. And we have always been under the amount that we are allowed to spend. And I mean, we need to be cognizant of the workload of our staff. And I think it's very important that we all realize that we have always put as much money into the classrooms in our division as we possibly can. And any money that is spent on governance and administration is money well spent. We are the keepers of the purse of the public funds that we receive, and I think that our oversight has been always a big part of how this board has operated, and I appreciate all the work that goes into preparing our budget. So I'm more than prepared to make the motion that this budget go to Facilities and Finance for review. And I look forward to the deliberations.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson. Any other discussion?
Just for, when we're talking about clarity with the public, can you just speak to what IMR is, the restructuring of those dollars?
Yeah, so it's basically our maintenance and facilities budget, for maintaining our buildings and infrastructure. And I think one of the advocacy items, and we'll see with further discussions, and as Secretary Treasurer Reid says, the details are what are key in any discussion. But a concern I would have initially, and that we'll see more when we get the details, is that the IMR is meant for your day-to-day maintenance and, upkeep and so forth. And if they are redirecting that or eliminating that budget line, I'm curious to see where they're going to be adding it in. If I do feel that they're asking for more of a strategic plan on capital spending, I'm all for that. I know you as a board are all for that because we are very diligent in our capital plan. We have a running record of how, and we see it at school council reports on what schools are getting what money on the day-to-day operations for capital improvement and responsiveness. So it just would be curious, but ultimately at the IMR, it's around your maintenance budget, right? And I do think on that note, I think if the motion does pass and we do get it to Facility and Finance, I think one thing that might be coming out of this is further advocacy items to sit there and have conversations with your other partners, elected partners, whether it's at town or county or city council, to see if in fact, are they feeling the same thoughts around or getting the same feedback on their budget? Meaning, are their capital dollars being reduced, or are their system administrations being reduced and so forth? Which once again, if the money is going to the students, I know you as a board have no issue whatsoever, and that's always been you've been grounded in that. And so, but yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
Awesome. Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, no, seeing none, the motion on the floor is that the budget 2026 be referred to the Facility and Finance Committee for further discussion. All in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you. My last item for action is actually the Clear Vista sound system. And so I know what we're trying to do with the new build and with existing infrastructures is trying to address any opportunities where we can to address inequities that do exist. This is a very a minor improvement, but an improvement that I feel makes a significant benefit to the students and to the families, and the school community as a whole. And as I mentioned, like, anyone that's gone to a concert or an assembly, when the students are standing and speaking, there's nothing better than to hear them sound great. When we're looking to celebrate victories and so forth in the gym, it's great. When the kids are singing, it's great to hear them sound great. And so what I am looking for is a partnership. We will be in discussions with the school council. You as trustees will be able to have an opportunity to have that discussion at the school, Clara Vista School Council, and explain it a bit further. One of us, Sherry or I, could be in attendance to talk about what this partnership would look like. But I am looking for a motion that the Clara Vista sound system be referred to the facility and finance for further discussion. And just to the point that we are looking to replace the current sound system.
You're prepared to make the motion, trustee Lethbridge, saying?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Seconder? Thank you, trustee Rick. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, the motion on the floor is that the Clara Vista sound system be referred to the Facility and Finance Committee for further discussion. All in favor? Motion is carried.
And attached are board actions and referrals, and that's it for my report.
Great. Very much. Next up, board correspondence. I went through just a summary of the correspondence we received. They are attached to the agenda if you want to have a look. Moving on to upcoming events. Stark Catholic School Division meeting March 4th, which is today at 4:30. We will be meeting with their board. Parade of Programs is today as well at 6 p.m. Education Committee meeting next week on Wednesday, March 11th. And Committee of the Whole regular board meeting and Governance Committee Wednesday, March 18th. And I believe that brings us to the end. If there's no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you, trustee Potts, seconder. Thank you, trustee Eichert. All in favor? Motion's carried. Meeting is adjourned at 12:26. Thank you.